Hunting the Shadows. It's a cold, dark night out there. Weird shadows fall across the frozen landscape. They bend, twist, and move in the darkness. And if you look closer, there's something out there, also moving in that darkness. It's you and I. It's you and I, my friend, because we're hunting the shadows. Hello, I'm Dennis Carroll, your host for another episode of Hunting the Shadows. Come on in, friend. Let's warm ourselves with some good conversation. It's going to be an interesting episode tonight. I hope you're all doing well out there in YouTube land or wherever, whatever thing you're using to follow us along with. I'm going to say hello to some people. Let's see. Aussie Sue, hello. And Shiro, my good friend Shiro. And Gerald. Hello, Gerald. John Fortman, good to have you aboard, sir. Come on in. Hello, Roger. Good evening. Yes, sir, we're starting to gather a little bit here. That's good, that's good. Hello, Sandra. Welcome aboard. We're going to have an interesting discussion tonight. Tonight, our topic is mystery sounds, okay? And we've got a lot to cover on that, okay? Because it is a fascinating subject, you know? And I was going to talk about a few of the things first before we get into it. I had a great show this afternoon across the pond there with my good friend Andy Codes from across the pond and his friend, let's see, hello, David Lester, come on in, sir. And his friend Nicole. It was really interesting. We talked about shadow people. It was really, really good for about 2 hours. It was a very interesting show. Of course, you know me, I always go down different rabbit holes, go down different avenues of the paranormal and the supernatural when I get to go in there. So, but we stayed mainly on the topic of shadow people, or we always circle back to it. Circle the wagons. Okay. And anyway, it was a really great show. So if you want to, got a couple hours to kill and you want to watch that, definitely check him out on Andy Codes. Andy Decodes. And it was really good. I enjoyed doing it. He's a good fellow. And he done something today that I haven't been able to do. He's got a hold of Graham Phillips. I haven't done it. I had it set up one time, but it fell through. So I'm going to have to go get on Graham's train again there and see what I can get done. I want to get that guy on here. You will find that a fascinating interview. Definitely, I want to interview him on paranormal point of view. Definitely, he had some very interesting paranormal experiences. I think you would enjoy it if I can ever get him on here. Andy was able to do it, so maybe I can. But anyway, moving on to other topics. I've been watching the news again. It's depressing, okay, but it's got to be done, I guess. But I've been watching a few things that have popped up on the. It's been kind of quiet since New Year's, But and by the way, I hope you're all having a great New Year so far. I saw one guy post. He said that I've already screwed up 2024. I'm looking forward to 2025. So let's hope we don't get in that situation there. Okay, this early in the game, definitely. So we want to watch that. But I hope you're all doing good so far and all that, and hope we all do some good stuff with this year, definitely. Thank you, Midwest. Let me put that up for everybody there. Midwest has got me covered here. He's a good guy to have your back. Yes, sir. That was really a neat YouTube thing there. And you look up Andy Decodes on YouTube, you'll find it. He's real easy to find. You just put that in the search. You got a little magnifying glass. You put that in your search, Andy Decodes, and you'll see the latest episode. And it's really good. If you want to check it out, if you're interested in shadow people, there's some really freaky stuff with shadow people. Like I say, it's not just one basic answer to this. There's several different, outlooks on it. It is fascinating stuff. I've actually seen shadow people. I've had several times. So there are different types, and that's what we talked about. So you might want to check it out. Definitely, it's a good show. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying on the news, there's some really interesting things going on with AI recently. I've noticed a turn about AI here. But listen to this. When AI first showed up, and you might notice this too. When AI first came on the scene, a lot of people were dead set against it. The media and government was saying, "Oh no, this is a bad thing. This is a bad thing." A lot of them were saying that. Now they've changed their tune a little bit on that. Hey, Sweet Pea, and now they're sort of embracing AI. Oh, it's going to be a good thing, The government is definitely going to weaponize AI. Okay, that's no point about that. But and robotics is going to be a big part of that. Robotics and AI got to go together. Okay, and Neuralinks and all this other stuff. You're going to see that in the future, and we're going to probably have to do a show on this again and talk about it one night, a little bit further deep into the territory of this stuff. Also, it's fascinating stuff. There's my friend, the girl and her gong. Hello. Good to have you here. And Monica Davies. Yeah, there you go. Hey. All right. And the interesting thing about this is that now they're changing the tune and they're sort of embracing it, but they want you to embrace it more. It's not that it's not official. Like they're kind of promoting it a little bit now. So I don't know. There's some freaky stuff going on in that category. We're gonna have to really watch and be closely watch what's going on because there's some really strange things going on in that. As an investigative researcher, there are certain things that sometimes I call it they set off a little fire alarm. And you hear something that says, that doesn't sound right. That sounds like it looks like a false flag kind of a thing. And that's what you look for, because sometimes sometimes they do that way. They kind of push stuff under the table or under the door, beneath the door kind of a thing. They don't, without you trying to see it too much. They're very good at that. So they're very clever at pushing their agenda when they want it. But they're coming out more and more with this green agenda. And the more I see of it, the less I like it. And I want to say this, okay? I'm all about helping the earth and our resources. Gosh knows we need it. This world needs our help. We need to turn now and start trying to help the earth. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do that, And there's an authoritarian way to do it, and we don't want to go that way. That's despotism. That takes your personal freedom away. There's a right way and a wrong way to do everything in this world, okay? And we've got to be very careful how we approach this. But sure, the world needs help. And, I'm more concerned, more than with global warming, and that's bad. I'm more concerned with plastic, the infection of plastic on this planet. It's everywhere now. It's in our lungs, in our hearts. It's in, they found it in caves deep in the Antarctic where no one's ever set foot. It's in the oceans. It's in the air that we breathe. It's in the food we consume. We are in bad trouble. Plastic is one of the worst things that ever happened to this planet. Nobody's addressing that. Nobody's talking that much about it. That might get us before global warming does, you know? There you go. I mean, you got to look at the priorities in this, and they're going about it completely wrong because it's an authoritarian type thing. They want to take control. That's what it's all about. It's just another means of control over people. Okay, but I'm not going to get into that tonight. That's only off topic of what we're going to be talking about. Okay, tonight we got a very strange subject, and I have followed this in my career of some 55 plus years here very closely. This is one of the things, you always hear me talking about the things I like, folklore, demonology, the supernatural, UFOs, cryptozoology. The list goes on. You know what I'm interested in. I'm a multifaceted guy, okay? You can say that about me. They've said worse, okay? But anyway, I'm a multifaceted guy. I like to go down the different avenues that are out there. Hello, Nighthawk, my friend. And uh, yeah, yeah, we got a lot of stuff going up. I'll put that up in here. The rest of the planet is in our solar star, all undergoing climate change. Why? Because solar weather is based on base direction type thing. That's very true, John Fortman. And I'll tell you something else. They're messing around with the sun. That's another thing I was going to talk about that's not sitting right with me. They're even going to send a ship to the sun, and really that does not sound good. And in the book of Revelation and prophecies, that there is a prophecy in the end times that something is going to happen to the sun. Okay, and we need to be very concerned about that because if something happens to the sun, it's going to happen to us. I mean, without the sun, we perish. Okay, that's it. And so that's the interesting thing people need to look out for. Oh, bug off. Yep. In 5,000 years, people will refer to our time as the plastic layer. And global warming, cooling always perhaps happens anyway. China's natural groundwater is 100% unusable due to pollution. And they're eating plastic rice. A lot of them too there. Bug off, by the way. Yeah. So there you go, They've already screwed the planet up, and that's why I say they need to turn around and start trying to fix this before it gets too late. Or it may already be past the point of no return. But what I'm saying, what they're doing now, and government screws up everything. Government's going to do, pardon my language, everything but backwards. Okay, that's just the way they work, and you can't trust the government to do anything right, especially to do anything that's worth doing that's not in their favor. Always remember that. They're going to do what's in their favor, not yours. Okay, that's the way they work, and that's the way they do things. Sun, the green things in the entire ocean to turn to blood of those dead men. There you go. Things are going to happen, Mike Jones. It's going to be very bad. And it's a change this whole world is going to go through, not just us and not just the world system, but the world itself will be affected by a lot of this, and the cosmos. A lot of things are going to change. But here's the thing about it. Man does not have the answer for this. Okay? Mankind does not have the answer. It's not going to be fixed by mankind. I've said that before. I say it again. It's not going to be fixed by us. Okay? We didn't create it, by the way. We didn't create all of this stuff. We can't fix it. Okay? Not the way it needs to be fixed now, since we screwed it up. And the forces of darkness definitely have played a big role in that as well. Yeah. If we fix global industrial farming practices and actually had healthy soils, it would stop all the carbon overnight. But it's not only that. Here's another thing they say, and I saw a speech of this. It's most of the carbon that's being put out is because we're breathing. Okay, we can't stop breathing. Okay. That's they're going about this completely wrong, okay? And that's why they want to kill off so many cows, methane gas, okay? Come on, what they're going, the rich elite are going to always have their steaks to eat, people, okay? While they laugh at you poor little peasant eating insects, okay? That's the way it's going to go. They're going to always be on top of their game and not you. You're going to be on the bottom. Okay. That's the way it goes. Anyway, the whole thing about that, and it's ridiculous, just like I say, the right way and the wrong way to do everything. But let me get back to my main subject, sounds. Now, I've always been interested in, amongst all those other things I mentioned, Earth mysteries. Okay, and now Earth mysteries is a broad subject. It covers a lot of things: mysterious lights, mysterious insects, doing weird stuff, animals doing weird things. It covers a whole broad range of stuff. And one of the things it covers that I've always found fascinating is sound. Okay. You're not eating bugs. I'm not a frog. Okay. All right, girl gone. Don't be hopping around and we won't think you're a frog. Okay. There you go. Okay. So getting back to the sound. Okay. There are a lot of weird, mysterious sounds out there, folks. Believe me, I've been following this for years. One of the most interesting ones is the hum. I know you may have heard about this. I think in Taos, Mexico, it's called the Taos hum because you can hear it plainly. I have a friend in Ireland who talks about hearing the hum in Ireland. This thing is heard all over the world. Is this a natural noise of the earth? I've often said before, since we're talking about the earth is a living thing. Okay, we got to look upon our Mother Earth. She is a living, viable thing. Okay, just like we are living, she is living. Okay, she has blood just like we do, although it's during our blood. She is a living being. Okay, and that's why we definitely need to take care of our mother. Okay, because she is what takes care of us. But she is a living thing. Okay, she's ever changing, just like humans are. Humans don't really remain the same. They change. They get more wrinkles. They lose hair. Whatever the situation is, they get older. They change. The Earth is changing too. Okay, we've got to always remember that. So I'm gonna try to keep up with some of your comments here tonight. I'm gonna try to do better with the comment things. Okay. Anyway. The sound situation is very strange. What is this hum that people hear? Is it an actual sound that the earth makes, or something else going on here? Because it's not just a hum that these people talk about. It's also some other kind of noises that they hear underground, like machinery running, like engines running underneath the ground. Now, a lot of people say maybe it's the government putting in secret installations, but they don't do that all over the world. Although there are many places in the world they do it in, but I'm saying there's not constant in every location where these things are heard. This is something else going on. And, this ties in with a lot of theories about being underground civilizations. Could that possibly be one explanation for some of these weird noises that are heard underneath us? And I've heard some people say they've actually been woken up by these noises. They can get so loud at night. Now, I saw something in the news the other day since Hamas attacked Israel a few months back, that there is a border town that they're actually hearing some weird sounds underground, and they're worried that it may be Hamas digging more tunnels, terrorist tunnels to come out of there. That is a word now, terrorist tunnels. Tunnels used by terrorists, believe it or not, folks, has entered our vocabulary. But what's going on underground? There's some, and I've always said this: if I were going to hide or do something sneaky, I would do it from underground. I mean, in the cave systems or make my own tunnels. And mankind has had his own tunnels underground for a long time too. Look at that vast underground tunneled city they found in Turkey not long ago. They could hold up thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, it is a smart idea that you can go underground to hide or get away from bad weather or whatever the situation, war, whatever the situation is. That is the perfect. Ask Hamas. That's the perfect place to hide. They know. A lot of other places know, and like the Viet Cong, they knew about that. The Cambodians know about that. Yeah, the tunnels are real, folks. That always takes me back to thinking about the Great Escape movie, the tunnels that they made, the Tunnel King and all that. tunnels are instrumental sometimes in the very survival of species. Definitely, that is the human race. Is one of them. But what's going on with that? What is this machinery being heard? It's almost as if they are, uh, like I said, some people tie this into a possible fact that there may be underground civilizations working away at these things, you know? Yeah, I'm going to talk about the trumpet sounds there in a minute, Nighthawk. Definitely. That's another interesting thing. And I think that ties in somewhat, some way to biblical prophecy. But anyway, that's another thing. Those sounds, the hum that people hear, and it's not only just the sounds; they feel a vibration. They feel a vibration of it. Now, I felt a little small earthquake the other night here where I live, and it was, very, very quick, very small. It wasn't a long running. There are long running tremors, and then there are burst tremors, like they just kind of jolt, for a moment. That's what that was. But I was looking at some footage of the recent earthquake in Japan, and that is something scary, folks. You definitely wouldn't want to be caught in that. I think it was a film that was taken inside a grocery store, and I don't think anything stayed on any shelf in that grocery store and it was over with. I mean, it's just freaky looking stuff. And it's very dangerous to getting caught in something like that, definitely. Let's see. It says sea levels have been stable. We've just been looking for a long time. Water goes up and down. Man lives on. I think that's a natural thing of the earth too, Puckett. And fluctuations in temperature are also natural things to a certain extent, unless they become very extreme. Could it be spacecraft and noises in that? It's a possibility. You're talking about things that are underground in tunnels, or things flying through the air. I have actually had jets pass over me that would shake the very ground I stood on. That fought close over me, and I'm talking about F-16 jets. And there is a certain, for that kind of power, there is a certain output for it, definitely. And we're going to be talking about some other things like that shortly. The Seneca guns is one of them, definitely, we're going to be mentioning. But the now says the falling or how it coming. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too in a minute when I get to the trumpets. That's a very interesting prophecy that we need to look at. And hello, Gino. And I believe there's a lot more Earth behind the ice wall and more advanced intelligent species. That's a possibility too. Also, too, that ice wall, I think, is holding some things hidden from us, or intentionally and maybe naturally hidden as well. Definitely look at that. Now, skyquakes, that's another thing, and there are such things as skyquakes, okay? They actually are earthquakes in the sky, like that actually filter down to shaking the ground that we're on. There's been a lot of reports of skyquakes. Definitely, that's another thing you look at when it comes to sounds. And that kind of ties into the next sound I'm going to talk about, since the skyquakes and the northern lights noise. We do know without a doubt that the northern lights can make a noise because it is sort of like an electrical charge. Okay, it is solar electricity, by the way. It's sort of a solar charge that's doing that, and it will make a sort of some people call it a crackling like sound. Sort of like mashing potato chips a little bit or something, similar to that. They say it's a freaky kind of a sound, and some people describe it as frying bacon like sound. So you have several different interpretations of the northern lights sounds that you hear about. Now the Seneca guns I mentioned have been heard since before airplanes were ever invented. They're basically heard off the coast of North and South Carolina, but they can be heard as far north as Virginia, and in parts of New York, I think they have been heard. And the Seneca guns, and they just gave them that name because they thought they sounded like cannons going off, which comes from a battle of Seneca or something like that. And they're sonic booms like. But like I said, they go back to the 17th, 16th century and beyond, that people have heard these loud cannon-like booms. What is that? It's not airplanes. It's not, supersonic jets flying around, because they weren't any then. What is the sound of the Seneca guns? I think even some of these booming sounds have been heard in Australia. I think Queensland, places like that, that they've heard along their coast, and it always seems to be close to a coastal area. That's interesting, you know. Has it got something to do with the ocean in that respect? Uh, let's see, there's old East Slavic Sumerian folklore, flying black obelisks drilling down into and coming from mountains. There was the account of a World War II soldier hiding. They found one behind a cave. Yeah, I've heard of those obelisks. You know, they say that the remnants of them have been found in certain areas of the world too. Hello, Russell. Come on in, sir. Anyway, David Lester has a good point. Some of these may be coming from meteorites. We do know meteorites make a noise. Yeah. But some of these have occurred without any sightings of meteorites. So you have to wonder, you know, did they see one or was that what it was? Sometimes they can vaporize before they hit the lower atmosphere. Boom, you know. But the Seneca guns seem to have happened with no, you know, heavy meteor shower type activity or anything. So you have to wonder what's going on with the Seneca guns, you know. Some people say they're ghost sounds of old battles, pirates firing cannons and all that. That sounds pretty neat, but I think it goes back before that. I think there's more of an explanation than that, than more or less like a ghost sound. Definitely. What do you think about sky creatures? Would they vocalize? That's another possibility, John. A lot of people have seen these sky rays and certain weird uh, type of creatures flying in the air and all that. And you have to wonder if the atmosphere above us is very much like the ocean, you know, that we live with. Could there be sort of like a sky ocean there? Could there be actual things living in that that are adapted to that? You have to wonder with all these reports of sky rays that people see. And would they make noises? Possibility they might do that. Hello, Freaky Geek. And anyway, yes, they've recorded while people are fishing and camping out. Yes, Aussie Sue, that's been a lot of times that they've heard those, especially by the people on the beach have also heard them. So the Seneca guns are very strange. Now we go to the other weird part of this strange noise mystery, and moving right along, and that is strange, unearthly screams, and they can't be just contributed to Dogland and Bigfoot. There's something else going on with that. These sounds are bestial type screams. They sound like an animal, but they're not any known animal. Now, believe me, I've heard everything that makes a noise out in the forest. Okay, I know what even bull moose sound like, and elks. Elks can really vocalize. I've heard a lot of things, foxes and all that, in heat and not in heat, and whatever the situation is. We know what they are, but these things go beyond that. They're almost like some coming from some kind of unknown creature that nobody's ever heard. And these weird primal type screams, but they're not the kind that are associated supposedly with Bigfoot. Okay, these are something different I'm talking about. So that makes you wonder what these screams, what is making these weird, unearthly screams. That's another one, you know. And connected to that are the voices that people hear calling for help way out in the forest. And I've seen this happen with people that I've had a lot of people tell me they've had this. These voices calling for help, well, these should not be people. And it's almost as if they're trying to lead people deeper into the forest. For what reasons? And here's the freaky part. These voices can mimic people that you know, or they can even mimic your voice. Freaky stuff going on here. What is that? You know, is it some kind of demonic activity? Is it some kind of fey activity? What is this? Is it alien? Is it, you know, demonic? What's going on with that? You know, you gotta wonder where these weird voices come from and what they're up to, and what happens if you do follow them. I wouldn't advise it. Definitely not. Sweet Pea says that's cryptid mating season. Could be. Well, what cryptid? I do know without a doubt. I'm gonna say this. I've talked about it before. I've talked about it with my good friend Nighthawk. It's on here too. There is another cryptid out there, folks, that I call Cryptid X. I don't know what it is. Okay, I've had brushes with it. I've seen signs of it. It's not Bigfoot. It's not Dogman. It's not Chupacabra. It's not the Sallygaster. There's something else here. I don't know what it is, but it is very. I get the feeling it's very unearthly. That it really doesn't belong here, and it is very. I don't know. Its intention is not good. It's very bad intentional type thing. I call it Cryptid X, and I'm gonna do a show on that very soon about Cryptid X. I want to explain a little bit about that and go deeper into it. It's a fascinating subject too, as well, but we'll get into that later. -6 degrees tonight. Okay. We don't know what real cold is, right? Have heard stories where voices have been heard in the woods, but what is it when someone calls your name in a mall? It can happen. It doesn't have just to be the woods. It can happen anywhere. What is that? Is it a demon trap of some sort? Is it some kind of? Is it the black-eyed children trying to lead you off to something, or the men in black? What is it? It's to me, it has that very evil intention to it. That's all I can tell you. Whether it's demonic or not, I don't know. But it has a very evil intention, I think, to it. It's not wanting you to follow it for a good reason. It's leading you away. And it can happen anywhere. It can be in your house. It can be in your backyard. It can be in the forest. Be in a city. I've heard thousands of reports of these weird voices calling people. It's weird, really strange. Cryptid X, Sean says, sounds intriguing. Yeah, we'll get into that definitely one night. Cryptid X is worth talking about. The voices often attributed to spirit activity rather than cryptids. Very true in some aspects. But some people swear that Bigfoot has actually used some type of language and talking and gibbering like. I believe they do have a language. Bigfoot does have some type of a language. I believe it communicates not just telepathically, too. I believe it does that with sounds. All animals do. Yeah, it's the most evil apex predator now. It's definitely. I'll tell you what. I get a really freaky feeling whenever I think about Cryptid X now. Definitely. I don't, think anybody would really want to intentionally run across his path. Without a doubt. Whether he can cloak himself or not, I don't know. But I think he can. But that makes him very, very dangerous. Big hairy fellow mimics the sound of a train. Yeah, I've heard him doing that. That would be one of their things that Bigfoot could do. I think they can mimic birds and animal sounds to signal each other, very much like Native Americans used to do in the forest. They can mimic these sounds as signals, like bird calls and stuff like that. I'm sure the Bigfoot can do that without a doubt. Yeah. Only 1527. Watch, please hit the like button. Yes, ma'am. Please like us, share us out, and subscribe now, okay? And recommend us to other people. We need some more. We need to get some more in here, definitely. So, okay, I'm moving along. We're talking about whispering trees. Do trees whisper and talk? There's a lot of folklore all over the world about trees moving and talking. Look at J.R.R. Tolkien. He has the talking, walking trees in the Lord of the Rings. Treebeard, remember Treebeard? And where did he get that? I'm gonna tell you something about Tolkien. Okay, he was big like me. He was big on folklore, and folklore is a fascinating thing. I love folklore. I told somebody the other day, if I just had to put the supernatural and the paranormal aside and all the high strange and stuff, I could just function on folklore alone. It's that fascinating of a subject. Okay, but folklore has so many connections and so many ties in on that. That you got to look at folklore. And folklore all over the world, that includes among even the Native American tribes, the Inuits, the Hawaiians. It goes all over the world. They talk about, in Hawaii, of course, there would be palm trees that move and talk. And you hear this in the European sectors. This is something worldwide, folks, the belief that trees can be, we know that trees are living things, and trees are very beneficial. They put off oxygen. And this world would not exist without trees, okay? We'd probably all die without the trees. We'd be in a bad situation, okay? Put it that way. They filter and clean the air and everything, you know. Of course, they're getting overloaded now in the world today. But trees are very beneficial. And there's a belief system throughout time that trees have a spirit like to them. They are living things. I have seen some trees, you have to wonder if they're not twisted, tortured souls the way they look. They're awful looking things. Some of them are. And you have to wonder, like the ancient druids, you go around knocking on the trees to wake up the spirits in the trees and communicate with them and all that. Could they whisper amongst themselves? Could they communicate not just by their root systems or and all, as some plants we know without a doubt do that? Look at the telegraph vine. That's one of them. That's why it's called the telegraph vine. It communicates over its long root system for miles. Um, they can one plant to another. They can talk. They actually talk to each other. Plants are not stupid, folks. Plants are intelligent beings in many aspects, you know, and there are reports of, you know, actually recordings of plants screaming that were torn out of the ground or cut. They scream, folks. That's true. I heard it. I mean, I've heard it, and it is freaky stuff. And you have to wonder, they have feelings too, you know. You got to wonder about that. Russell says they also had talking and moving trees in Narnia, which was written by Tolkien's friend C.S. Lewis. Very true. I'm a big fan of C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, both of them, and I always found it heartening they were both good friends with each other. Uh, Tolkien had evil hobbit eating trees to a bit earlier in the Tom Bombardier station. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was very interesting. What if the creatures of folklore and mythology are the hybrids of the second Enoch? Well, it could be that tie in with the Nephilim again, definitely. And we'll have to do a show definitely on that one night also. Everyone glossed over the Tom Bombardier bits of Tolkien, Jonathan. I know it, and you know he was a fascinating character. I don't know why they tended to leave him out of a lot of stuff. That was really, I think, a mistake on their part. That's my opinion. I enjoy hugging trees. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I love trees. Okay, trees. I especially love oak trees. Big, tall, strong oak trees, mighty trees. They can live hundreds and hundreds, or some thousands of years. But I think there's an olive tree that's like 2 or 3 thousand years old in the Holy Land. Um, Trees are fascinating things that live so long, and they're so strong, and yet they're so beneficial to us. We cut them down and make furniture out of them and all that, and we use some of the fruit off the trees to eat and survive and all. You know, trees, like I say, we wouldn't be here without trees, definitely. And trees are a very beneficial thing that we unfortunately take for granted. To this day, I always feel sorry whenever I see any big tree cut down. It just kind of feels like they've destroyed a big part of history there. You know what I mean? But anyway, I think plants use a fungus on the ground around the roots to help with communication long distances too. That's a possibility. Fungus, although is a parasite mainly, it can have benefits to them. Maybe they use it for certain applications because it is attached to them definitely. And we tend to use mushrooms, which are fungus, which are parasites in some ways of the places they live in that respect. Um, but anyway, let's see. I'm gonna lose out here. Don't want to lose my way on the comments here. But yeah, and actually, trees have been said. It has been said been heard to whisper actual like words, but it was a language that nobody could understand. Okay, in other words, kind of like the Bigfoot we were talking about earlier. It may sound like gibberish to us, but it may be a definite language to somebody else. And so it is with the trees. And it has been known, it's been written in a lot of poems and stories and songs over the years. The whispering trees or the whispering pines, they do sound like they're whispering when their leaves and their branches move together. But we're talking about something else here that's almost another weirder sound than just tree branches and all that. We're talking about actual vocalization type things, but it's very low vocalization. And it may be very low because it may from me higher up. We don't hear it on that level, or it could be a different frequency from what we can pick up. You got to think about that as well. What if trees are communicating that way and they have their own language? That's not that far fetched to think about it when you know how some plants work, and that some plants may have more intelligence than people think they do. I think my aunt's bathroom door looked like it had a dying tree being in the grain. Depressing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of grain indoors do some freaky looking things. Sweet pea, definitely. Free geek, I agree. Very sad when a big tree comes down for progress safety. The bigger the tree, the more it filters right. Oh, yeah, definitely. The bigger it is, the better. This has its full potential. Definitely. But that's the strange thing about trees and the voices in the wind. And I'm going to talk about that a minute. Since we talked about the voices that call people from out of the way, there have been a lot of reports of people hearing voices in storms, actually like funeral voices that they can hear. I think Ray Bradbury wrote a story about that called The Wind, very aptly titled, where the winds actually had an intelligence, and they would gather people sometimes, and you would become part of the wind system. And their voices, people could hear the voices of these people, the voices in the wind and the storms. It's been thought that a lot of times over the years that certain storms were demonical. Sometimes that demons could raise storms, witches could raise storms, and all that. That's an interesting thing. Do storms have voices in them? Dr. Carroll, have you studied allegations of some plateaus could be giant petrified trees? Yes, I have looked into that. And I think there are, like I've said, I talked about on the giants the other night when we did the giants things. This world once was subject to giantism. And that's not just people, but like I talked about insects. Of course, the dinosaurs were giants too. You had giant birds, you had giant pterodactyls, you had giant mosquitoes the size of eagles. Definitely would have giant trees. I'm talking about bigger than the redwood trees of California. And definitely if they were cut down or stumps. I've seen some plateaus that look very much like petrified tree stumps. And you got to wonder about that. And as a matter of fact, my friend Nighthawk and I had a show on not too long ago about giants where we showed pictures of petrified giants, supposedly rock formations that were supposedly petrified giants that were left over from the age of time, giantism on this planet. This world started out much differently than we have been taught in science. I think it had a lot of different ramifications to it in its very beginning, eons ago, whenever that was. I think things were completely different. We know that for a fact, at the beginning of this world, according to the Bible, it did not rain. It was just a heavy dew every morning that watered everything, and it did not rain until Noah built the ark. That's what scared people so much. What is that? What is this water falling from the sky? It supposedly did not rain, and it was said that the world had an envelope of water all the way around it that was sort of like the placenta of water that you have on a baby, and this world was very much like that. And when that water main broke, that's what deluged the world and caused the flood. It wasn't just the deeps being broken up, as the Bible says, but it also was a deluge from the sky. The whole world was inundated by water in that manner. And there's a lot of contention about what this world was back in its beginning. People lived longer. They were people of old, of renown. They were special kind of people, other than what we are. We have descended from them, but we've lost a lot of that over the years. I think it's it's one part of the Bible says that each generation gets weaker and wiser in that respect. And that is very true. I think we've lost a lot of our longevity, It says it is now appointed that some ancient texts say that man will never live longer now than 120 years. Uh, Give or take a few years. That's freaky stuff. Yep. Wouldn't dinos need giant trees and plants? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the bigger you are, the more food you consume. And the more food you consume, the more food you need. That's basically the way it goes. That would mean that the earth is big enough for many giants, so big the size of mountains. Definitely. That's where you get the term mountain giants. They were huge. Look at the mountain trolls. They were huge. We're talking 30-foot tall mountain trolls. Okay, think about that. Yeah, that's head in the clouds stuff there. Let's see. Serpents of wisdom from the seas. Indo-European post-Ice Age religions. Yeah, I've heard of that. Hey, how do you think it's right? Wings like an aircraft. I had the sense it was alive, although not mechanical. I only saw it for a second. I think it was an elemental. That's a possibility, John. Elementals can appear in many different forms. Definitely. That's what I talked about on that show with Andy today. Spiritual beings have that premier ability to shapeshift. Don't ever forget that. Don't let that throw you off. That's what they do, and they do it very well. We can't do that unless we have the aid of an outside source. We can, as human beings, do that. But we can when we hook up with a demonic, such as werewolves, to become werewolves. Okay. The first legend is the guy Catalan, maybe from the fall of Lucifer. Yeah. Well, now the Mike Jones, the book of Genesis says that the world was without form and void, and chaos was upon the deep. So it was all messed up by the fall of Lucifer. Okay, because he brought an infection of sin into this world. It's just like an infection, like a flu virus kind of a thing. It's an infection. Mud Fossils University on YouTube is a great channel, Proof of Giants. Okay, I'll check that out. I'll put that up for other people to see. It sounds interesting. I've always been interested in giants. That's another subject. That kind of falls under Earth mysteries that we're talking about tonight. But I find it interesting that the storms have been attributed to demonic powers. Hello, Cryptid Hunters. Good to have you here. The interesting thing about giants, they're a part of Earth mystery thing, okay? Because they're part of the Earth and that's where they go. But could you think of giant praying mantis or something? That's scary enough. Praying mantis is scary enough just looking at him. It's little. Imagine him a whole lot bigger than that. I don't know if I want to run into him or not. Definitely. But anyway, that covers our sounds thing tonight. There's a lot of interesting thing, so I'm just going to recommend you all do some research on the sound, not just what we hit on tonight, but do some research on these mystery sounds. What are they? Like the voice that I've heard some freaky stories about that voice that calls. I mean, this is weird stuff. The voice I heard, I'll tell you a quick one. Well, this woman said that she was camping camping alone in a camp area, and there was a restroom there. And she said that she was sitting at the campfire that night and was getting ready to go to bed, and said all of a sudden she looks up and there's this woman standing there, and said this is a freaky looking woman. She's very pale, long black hair, and she said, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And it just took her by surprise. And the woman said, "Okay, how are you?" or something. The woman talked kind of normally, but she just didn't act right, And as the night wore on, the woman stayed there, and she didn't talk very much, And so this other woman got kind of scared, so she got up and said, "I'm going to go to the restroom," Then she went to the little restroom that was there, and she locked the door and locked herself in there. She said, "I'm not coming. I'm going to stay here till dawn." This woman freaked her out. And said all night long, this woman walked around the outside of that restroom talking to her, trying to get her to come out, and she would use different voices. And so one time she used her mother's voice, and she said, "How does this woman know this? Know what my mother sounds like?" She used her mother's voice. She even used her voice, the woman's own voice, against her, telling her, "Come out, come out. I'm not going to hurt you," or something. And said, and finally, when dawn come, she opened the door and went out. The woman was gone. She said it was the worst night of her life. But that made me wonder about that. This thing could use those voices. What was it? Freaky stuff. Russell says Venus flytraps are true warriors and proof plants' ability to choose. They don't have to eat insects, but choose to do so. And here's another thing about it: they're geared to do that evolutionary wise, but also, like you said, they don't have to do it to survive. But that's what they kind of choose to do. Makes you wonder if they have a mindset choice on that. Yeah. If they're working on trying to replay, let the hit button. Thank you. But the same word is also translated, the world became void. God never did anything. Noah's flood was later. Yeah, it was void, but I think the Greek word means chaos or something like that. But anyway, you can look that up and see. But what are the odds that a woman was something else wearing a human illusion? That's what I was thinking too. She just looked like a woman because that's what she wanted to look like. If you can use voices of people you don't even know out there against that person, that sounds very demonic to me. Or some type of alien type thing or something. I don't know. It's very weird. But that's very much like not only the changeling thing, and my friend Jessica and I had a show on that. The changeling is very interesting. But not only that, but it sounds very much like a doppelganger type effect as well. I don't know. It's weird stuff. But I'm doing more research on some of that. It's fascinating. The crying baby sound stories are another that really freak me out. Oh yeah, that's another thing, trying to lure you into the woods. The crying baby or the woman calling for help. It's like and these things are smart. They're preying upon you, especially if you're a woman and you hear a baby. You're not going to turn that down, trying to find out where that baby's at. Well, no, man wouldn't either, for that matter. But especially very alluring to a woman to get her to go what she wants to. Yeah. Another great show. Sorry, I missed a few, been busy. Okay, well, that's okay, Russell. You can always go to my library. All of my shows, even the one I did today with Andy Coates, are in my library on my playlist. Okay, if you ever get some time to kill and you want to listen to them, they're there for your enjoyment. Okay, don't forget that. Cryptid Hunter says Bigfoots and other cryptids lure you out with crying baby sounds. Yes, I've heard of that, and we were talking just earlier about cryptid. The Bigfoot actually has its own language, and it would definitely use bird calls and animal sounds to signal to each other as well. So that's another thing that Bigfoot would be up to. And if it can mimic bird noise, it could certainly do that with a crying baby. All right, definitely. And going back to Native American tradition, that they believe that Bigfoot kidnapped a lot of women to procreate with these women. That would be one way to lure a woman, would it not? Deeper into the woods, so you could kidnap her. Smart when you think about it, very smart. I was just thinking about the mermaids calling to sailors. Oh yeah, the sirens. Yeah, they would actually prey upon your emotions, get you homesick for home, or it would sound like your girlfriend or your wife calling you. You would jump in the water and swim to them, and you would be drowned. There you go. That's another thing. The sirens would do that, and there are other fae that supposedly do that. There's a fairy like very much like a vampire that can lure young men into the forest and drains them of blood. She's a fairy, a fae. That's it. I can't think of her name. I know it, and I can't think of it right offhand. But that's a very interesting thing. And how does she seduces young men, gets them, leads them into the forest, and when she gets them in the forest, it's too late. Sirens, yeah. Yep, Ulysses could tell you all about that. Remember, Ulysses had himself tied to the mast. He wanted to hear the song of the sirens, and and all the rest of his men put wax in their ears. But he said, no matter what happens, don't turn me loose. And they tied him to the mast of the ship, and the song almost drove him insane. That was very interesting. Lilith, yeah, Lilith is the mother of succubus. Lilith's the mother of a lot of demons, supposedly. She can also lure you, yeah, in that way. Yeah, oh, your folklore. No, not much about American folklore. Okay. Uh, well, American folklore is really the remnants of a lot of European folklore. Fuck elf. Definitely, there's a lot of influence in that, but there's some newer modernization to the American folklore too, and a lot of it ties in with Native American folklore. So you got that influence on it as well. Wherever folklore is, the influence of the culture and the surrounding environment has a lot to do and play with folklore. I'm a member of the American Folklore Society, and we try to not only understand what the folklore is, but why it comes about, the way it comes about and becomes folklore. That's fascinating too when you think about it. But folklore, like I say, is very essential. It tells you a lot of truths. You know, my favorite quote, I love to quote it, and that is what Herbert Spencer said: "Every truth and legend known to mankind is not without its authentic foundation." That says it all right there. Uh, the words are just westernized a lot. It's so hard to keep it all straight to get it old New World fairies. Yeah, there you go. Have you heard of the very ancient Chinese and Indian stories of Garden Eden on the plateau in Mongolia? Yes, I've heard of that. You know, also in that Chinese area, in India area, near there was a lost continent kind of a thing, sort of like Atlantis going on too, by the way. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there supposedly was a lost continent like thing going on there. And that was supposed to be, I think, the basis for that's like a kind of a Garden of Eden type thing too. It's fascinating stuff. The Oriental folklore and culture and legends is very interesting stuff. You know, they have their own werewolf, but it's not a werewolf; it's a tiger, were-tiger. By the way, it was a big place where Argatha was too. Oh yeah, Argatha. Yeah. Another thing about it's interesting that these lost continents pop up all over the world: Lemuria, Mu, so on. Not only Atlantis. It's almost like a racial memory of mankind, And I think my friend Jessica did a show today, a very good show on dragons, and I feel like dragons are a racial memory for mankind of the dinosaurs. I think that's where you get that. And I was reading an account the other day where Alexander the Great's men came back and reported to him about fighting dragons that were found in caves in India. So that's the interesting stuff too. I do not believe without a doubt that all the dinosaurs one day died and that was the end of them. I believe the age of dinosaurs finally died out about the time that men showed up. And I think there was an overlapping thing in there. And like I say, we've been taught a lot of science, my friends, that are lies. Okay, I hate to say that, but that's true. They've been lying to us a long time. And anyway, check out Jessica's show today if you want to on the dragons. I love dragons. Dragons are very interesting to talk about. And my favorite story is St. George and the Dragon, by the way, which is really a fairy tale kind of a thing too in some ways. Yeah. Then the Hat Man, yeah. Yeah, Mike Jones. That's since you brought the Hat Man up, since we talked about him on Andy Codes today. I believe the Hat Man, without a doubt, is a demon. Okay, I believe he's one certain demon, and he keeps showing up in certain areas. Dinosaurs are mentioned in the Bible. Russell says definitely, they definitely are. I believe dragons are dinosaurs. Oh yeah, that's my main theory. That's where they get that from, And here's another thing, with your name night watcher, we talked about St. George today. Oh yeah, St. George is one of my favorites. Uh, The Cryptid Hunters says, that is a very interesting story, St. George and the Dragon. But he sort of became the symbol, the dragon and the symbol of the knights in shining armor kind of thing. You know? But so he's sort of the patron saint of England, you know. So anyway, he's an interesting guy. I think he was actually German, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. But dinosaur, when they used to define the bones of dinosaurs, ancient man didn't know what they were. I mean, you know, they could say, "Hey, it's a dragon." You know, "Hey, yeah, dragons are real. Here's some bones." You know, but if you look at it the right way, dinosaurs are dragons, and dragons are dinosaurs, really, in that respect. Some of them, not all of them, of course, don't look like that. But to the ancient peoples, they would, without a doubt. Oh, yeah. So take too much energy, you'll see that happen. Okay. Yes, I bet you would. Definitely. Yes, it should. Okay, I'll put that up for you. And I saw a hat. I said, I saw a hat, man. My dog ran after it. It is a real thing. Okay, dogs can see it. Cats can see it. You can see it. It's real. It's the real deal. The reason the dragon myth silver the old world came from those ancient Indo-Europeans I mentioned. Modern Euro religion twisted the nature of the serpent. Yeah. Well, the serpent has been a symbol of two things over the centuries. Okay, look at it this way: of evil, of course, the bad, evil things, but it's also a symbol of wisdom. To be wise as a serpent. You know, kind of a thing. So it was venerated in some ways for his wisdom, and then in some ways it was kind of put down for his evil kind of thing. But I think the reason that a lot of this evil comes not just from mythology, but the very fact there are very many poisonous snakes that will kill you. That's not good. You know, if you step on one. They're not easily give wisdom. Yeah. And certain God is the good guy. I don't know about that, but definitely in my book, he was not a good guy in that respect. Although some people venerate that in that fact, I agree with you on that. They do believe that, but my own personal opinion, it was not a good thing. But that's my belief. Anyway, moving along, that is the thing on the mystery sounds tonight. And if you've experienced any, or if you got any questions on it, now's your time. We're open. We're open forum to the mystery sounds, and see what if you got any questions on that, anything you've heard on that. You want to? Now's your time to speak up. Uh, yep, hit the thumbs up and ring that notification bell, please. Thank you so much. And don't forget, recommend us to everyone out there to subscribe, share, and like us. Okay. Luke David was Latinium. He was wise and told him the castle fell because the red and white dragon were fighting beneath the foundation. Oh, yeah. Dragons are also, by the way, symbols of nature and elemental type spiritual beings as well. By the way, dragons are. And as I said on Jessica's show today, they are medieval power symbols too, in that respect. Dragons are very interesting in the outlook that people had on dragons. You know, it was sort of like with the serpent we talked about. That some people looked on it as evil, and some people looked on it as wise. You know, or good. I've seen a lot of dragon movies. Can't think of all of them now, but there was one I can't remember. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Sean Connery did the voice of the dragon in this, and he was a very, very, very intelligent dragon. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was a very good movie. Anyway, the dragon held his own in conversation with that guy. Okay, Dragonheart. Yeah, that was probably it. I think Dragonheart. That was a good movie. If you've never seen it, Jessica may have seen it. I don't know about you. in the Midwest, but check it out if you've never seen it. Very good movie. Uh, very interesting dragon in that. Now, the worst dragon I ever seen was Smog from Lord of the Rings. He was a bad boy. Big fire dragon. He was a rough dude. I was mentioning you just a lot of day. Oh, okay. All right. Dragonheart, yeah. That's a good movie. Yeah. That's one of my favorite dragon movies. Yeah. So anyway, any more questions or anything anybody's got out there? Now's the time to do it. Remember, I said this is your podcast too, so you got input, okay? But anyway, Friday night now. Don't forget, Friday night, 8 o'clock. Paranormal Point of View. I've got a movie review for you. You're gonna like this movie. And yes, I've been watching movies again. But we're going to talk about some other things too. Definitely, we're going to get into maybe some of the world situation again, and some other articles I've been reading. I think they put it has a short. Sometimes they'll short out on you, freaky geek. Yeah, they will, definitely. Dragon Slayer is a really good. Oh yeah, Dragon Slayer is another good one. Yeah, that's good. Smog was badass. Yes, he was. He was a bad boy. He could really burnt Lake Town down, didn't he? Yes, sir. Yep. Anyway, I knew that, when the first time I ever picked up a book of Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, I knew there was definitely going to be a dragon there. He would not pass up a dragon, no doubt about it. I'm a big fan of the movies. They were good, but I'm a bigger fan of the books. There were some required reading when I was in school, and I didn't feel like it was a requirement. It felt more like entertainment to me. I've always enjoyed it. The man was a absolute genius. I put him up there with C.S. Lewis and Dickens and Poe. These guys are, I'd love to meet them all one day and have a long chat with them. Wonder what the fiery flying serpents God sent against Israel were. Probably something similar to that. I would not doubt. And, there are things like that at the book of Revelation at the end of time, supposedly, that will come out of the bottomless pit that sounds a lot like dragon type beings, too, or flying serpent type things. It has Vermithix Spiritus, possibly the best dragon name ever, female dragon, too. Oh, yeah. Mine's definitely Falcor from Never Ending Story, The Feathered Serpent. The books were good, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit too. Oh yeah, all of them, fantastic. I love the movies though, and the movies, and I'll get them out and watch them every now and then. The movies, I've got all of them. They're trying to remake some of them, and I don't think it's going to work out too good because these movies are very good. They're very poetical, and they do hold when they hold to the book. They hold to it very well. Okay. There's some things not really changed that much, but omitted, like we talked about Tom Bombardier, Bombardier being left out. Some things were kind of left out. I would have left them in there, but there you go. Yeah, they're doing too many remakes when something becomes a classic. And those movies they are classic now. You just really could not redo that. Okay, Peter Jackson was a great director. Okay, and he's got a couple of cameos in the movie too, by the way. Great director. If they could do it with him, maybe it might possibly pass muster. But when you have a great classic like that, why do you want to fool around with it and screw it up? I mean, it's all comes down to them thinking they make more money. That's Hollywood, they would cut their grandmother's throat to make a dollar bill. It wouldn't bother them a bit. Remakes never as good as the original, definitely not. I mean, that's why they make remake bad. They drum up shade for the new one, then they make bank reselling the old and starting one. Yeah, that's another little plan of theirs. Yeah, I call that the backdoor plan. You know, they push it out the front so that you buy what's coming out the back door and say, hell, this is much better. I don't want to mess with that one coming out the front door. They're smart that way. Marketing. I used to work in marketing, by the way. Marketing is propaganda and innuendo, getting you to buy, directing you to the way they want you to spend your money. That's what. I mean, didn't watch new mermaid movie. I'm gonna tell you something. Look, this woke crap is going to destroy them if they don't watch out because they are sacrificing true entertainment for this woke agenda crap that they're trying to push over on people and brainwash people with. I hope they fail because they deserve it with this kind of crap, you know? I want to see entertainment. I don't want to be preached to, okay? Or trying to be bombarded with brainwashing techniques. I want to be entertained. I want a good story. It tells a story, has good characters, it's uplifting, and it's kind of worth watching, you know? I mentioned on Andy's show today, some movies you go watch, you want to go straight home and take a shower and try to wash that darkness off of you. You know, what good is that? You know, I want to see something good, entertainment that you makes you feel good, you know? Gives you makes you happy. Yeah. Hmm. They don't know how to do that anymore. All I know how to do is give you the F word and show you how to blow people's guts out on the screen. That's about it. And in between that, trying to push their woke agenda on everybody. I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'll say this. I'll take this with me to the grave. Okay. You can believe what you want to believe, but don't you try to push it down my throat. Okay. Whatever the situation is, you believe what you want to believe, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But don't you push what you believe down my throat when I don't want you to, okay? And I don't want to do that to anybody else. I don't want to push what I believe down your throat, okay? It just don't work that way. To me, that's the bad thing. That's the bad way to treat people, and I don't want to do that. It's almost like propaganda to make people not actually wake up in the individual sense. That's very truthful, John, definitely. As the Cryptid Hunter said, or our kids. No, we definitely don't want them to push it down your kids' throats either. You know, kids should be able to assimilate and make their own decisions about things, but they can be guided by the parent. That's the parental part of that. The parent needs to guide what they're doing and make sure they get the right materials to assess things and learn and all that. You don't want Hollywood teaching your children their morals, okay? You don't want Hollywood teaching your children their view of life. You know, that should be left up to the child. That's just like a lot of this sex change crap that's going on today. If your child wants to be a boy and you want to be a girl, that should not be your prerogative to try to change them that way. You know, they should be left alone till they reach the age where they can think for themselves and feel for themselves and then face their own outcome on that. That should not be done in childhood, folks. That's wrong. You talk about sex crimes against children, that's definitely one of them, okay, in my book. Yeah, the Sonic the Hedgehog people listen to fans who do this redesign instead of doubling down. They made a huge success. Yeah, you got to listen to your audience, what your audience wants, but definitely, yeah. Yes, I'm saying like that's good. We definitely need to protect our children. Without a doubt, they are fertile open ground, and we need to preserve that fertile open ground against this kind of stuff. Okay, and they should be the ones that make their own decisions when they get to the age where they can do that correctly. You know, that's the way I feel about it. Roger Girl, they say the Godzilla movie is supposed to be good. Oh, well, I hope so. If Kurt Russell is making that new God monster type movie, maybe it'll be better. Kurt Russell usually does good movies. Real study shows children with gender before they're left alone. They either grow out of it in a few years or just realize they're. That's right. You know, you reach a child in young puberty age like that, they've got a lot of decisions going on in their mind. They've got a lot of peer pressure and all this stuff. You don't need to add to that stuff, okay? And you need to watch it. And you need to help them. And as a parent, that's your job, you know. They brainwash our children, confusing them about their sexuality. Absolutely, because they're pushing that woke crap agenda. Okay, and it's one of the most insidious things since Nazism. Okay, you want to put it that way? I'll boldly tell you, it's just as bad, if not worse, than Nazism. That's what it is. But it's only a modern age spin on Nazism. This woke junk, it's crazy. Yeah. It's propaganda, and it's nothing but another kind of social control. That's all it is. I just watched the new Kyoto Japanese Godzilla today, just came out. I'm not a big fan of Godzilla. It's okay, but I'm not a great big fan of Godzilla. I was more of a King Kong fan myself. Agreed. Medical experiments on children are worse scandal than the bodily stuff. I mean, that's Nazi stuff. That's Joseph Mengele kind of stuff there. Where are they getting this at? Why is this good, folks? Why are we letting them get away with doing this to children? It's not right. I'm gonna tell you one thing about children. Okay, we need to nurture your children. You need to watch out for them. They are the future. They will dwell in the house of tomorrow where you will never go. Okay, you'll never be there, but they will dwell in that house of tomorrow. They are the future, and if we don't have a future, we're sunk. That's it. You know. It was on some Godzilla's stuff. Oh, okay. Got a Godzilla fan in here. Okay. He's okay. I mean, Godzilla's okay. I never liked the Mothra and all that much. Mothra needed to get his butt kicked really good. No, he was a pain, and you know what. But anyway, I know, by the way, Godzilla is just a stylized Japanese dragon. By the way, folks. Okay, that's what he is. He breathes fire and all that. There you go. There's another dragon model. Godzilla. Yeah, King Kong and Godzilla. Yeah, they were both good. I liked it when they got together. That was good. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing about King Kong. He always, like me, he always had an eye for the ladies. Okay, well, there you go. You gotta hand it to him on that. Mothra is my girl. She got pain. She was a pain sometimes. Tell you one thing though, she could fly good. Operation Paperclip was worse than many on the. Oh yeah, Operation Paperclip. We've talked about that. Talked about that on Jessica's show too. The Super Soldier Project and all that other stuff. Freaky stuff. But the Nazis were into that. But here's the bad thing. This is what disturbs me. I mean, we know how the Nazis were, without a doubt. My dad fought against them. But here's the thing about it. We know how they were, and we know what it would look. Why did we assimilate that? Why did we condone that in many ways by taking them in and paperclip and all this other stuff? Why did we do that? That was not good. That was not a good decision, and it kind of put us over in the category of the bad guys, especially since it's still an ongoing thing. It has never ceased. It's still active, and that may be where you get some dogmen from. I like Mega Godzilla. Oh yeah, Mega Gods. I remember that one. Yeah. Okay, well, it's been a good. Well, we're way over past the hour mark tonight. It's been really good, and I really enjoy your feedback. And I hope you enjoyed the sounds of mystery, and this will pique your interest, and maybe you'll do some investigative research on these sounds. There's more out there. I just kind of hit the highlights on them. The Seneca guns, the storm voices, the weird voices in the woods, the screams and all that. A lot of that stuff is still ongoing. I hear a lot of reports every day on this stuff, definitely. Godzilla is my favorite dragon. Okay, there you go. Godzilla, he really is sort of your type of a dragon, no doubt about it. I mean, how could you not say he's not? He does everything dragons do, except fly. He doesn't fly, although he got some of a gun, can jump really good. Thank you, Girl in the Gong. And it was fantastic having you and all the rest here tonight. And we'll definitely do Cryptid X maybe next week. How's that sound, John? Next Wednesday night we'll get together and talk about Cryptid X. And get into that a little bit deeper. And this Friday now, don't forget to tune in to Paranormal Point of View, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to get in some more interesting topics and movie reviews and some stuff like that. Happy New Year, Danny. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope it's going great for you. First week of the year. And I hope it continues to go good for you all. I wish you all peace and prosperity, health and goodwill. Okay? Spread it out. And I really appreciate you being here and joining me for another episode of Hunting the Shadows. Remember, this is your podcast. You're always welcome. Bring your friends, okay? Bring your relatives. Go out and recruit, okay? Recruit. That's what we got to do. We want to get bigger. We want to get stronger. We want to get the word out there, okay? Because sometimes the truth can be found in the shadows. That's what we're doing. We're hunting the shadows without a doubt. And I appreciate you all being here tonight. And until we get together again, remember what I always say, non tamu mala, semper veritas, and embrace the mystery. Hunting the shadows.